Oh God. Remember all the times when I said Steel Vengeance was the greatest coaster of all time and nothing could even come close to it? Yeah, I look pretty silly right now. Um, R305 definitely taught me a good lesson to not jump to conclusions so quick. Because not only did this thing challenge Steel Vengeance for my number one spot, it actually dethroned it in the end. And in this review, I'll be going over all the things that makes Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion my new number one. So when you walk up to this thing, it sure looks intimidating. I mean, the lift hill's technically only supported by one support, the other one's for the drop. So it looks terrifying just looking at that 305-foot lift hill being held up by only that. Like, I think that has a way more, like, intimidating presence than any of the other Gigas, or even the Stratas for that matter. So definitely lives up to the name in that sense. Not too much theming besides the NASCAR out front in the plaza. Q doesn't really have too much. The train looks really nice. And something neat about these trains are they actually need to, like, mist off the wheels. Like, they'll have, like, misters attached to the train that, like, mist the wheels off when it's on the brake run and in the station, because it rips through the course so fast, which is absolutely crazy. Like, I haven't seen another coaster that needs to do that, but that just shows how relentless this thing is. So to start off the ride, you're going to hear that iconic Gentlemen Start Your Engines. Way better than the Carowinds version. It sounds like the man's kind of dying in the Carowinds version. This one actually gets you hyped. Then you're going to go up that lift hill, which is probably the second fastest lift hill I've experienced, only behind Sky Rush, obviously not including Maverick. I mean, you fly up that thing, like, you're up there in no time, and then you're going down that first drop, and it's not quite as good as the B&M's first drop, but it's a really good Giga drop. I think it's better than Millennium Force's. Definitely feels more powerful, and I don't care about the OTS restraints. They don't hurt. Like, you kind of need them for the triple snaps and the transition and whatnot. So, I mean, I'm fine with them. Would I like T-bars or the new Gen Intamin lap bars? Yeah, duh. But these are fine. Then you're going to enter the infamous first turn. Oh my god, this is easily the most intense singular element of any coaster. I mean, it's like a 4-second sustained gray out. The positive G's are crazy. I think it's like 5 positive G's on this thing. And it's so sustained. Again, like 4 seconds. It's absolutely crazy, and you're absolutely flying at this point at like 90 miles an hour. So it's just so good. And this is only the third best part of the ride, and it's already like a top 15 element for me. Then you're going to go over what I think is the most underrated part of the ride, the giant camelback. This actually gives some good ejector airtime, in my opinion, and it's sustained for like 3 seconds. It's crazy. And the even crazier part about it is you're still just recovering from a gray out from that first turn. So you're kind of coming into it blind and disoriented. So you don't know what's about to happen. And all of a sudden you're getting sustained ejector airtime. I mean, it's not El Toro level, but it's still like solid airtime for sure. Definitely better than anything on Fury. Then you're going to enter the transition. If you watch Coaster Frenzy, you know what this is. It's that, like, left turn after the giant camelback, and then it, like, pops up into a weird airtime moment when it, like, flattens out, and then quickly it changes to the left again. Basically, it's the thing that's in between the triple snaps and the giant camelback, and this is the second best part of the ride, in my opinion. Absolutely disgustingly violent laterals. I know the Beast was my favorite coaster for laterals for a long time, but yeah, this thing destroys the Beast in laterals. And while you're getting those laterals, you are absolutely getting ejected. This is, again, one of the greatest elements of all time. Crazy laterals while getting crazy ejector airtime. It's not really lateral ejector airtime like Steel Vengeance's Outer Bank or anything, but it's weird. It's laterals and ejector at the same time, but it's not like one fluid thing. Like, you can feel the two different forces. So it's really great. But then after that, you're of course going to enter what is by far my favorite element, or I guess series of elements on any coaster, the triple snaps. Oh my god, these things are so aggressive. Mind you, you're traveling at like 80 miles an hour still or something. So you're coming into these things with a full head of steam. Again, you feel the positive G's. You basically feel the positive G's for the first 2/3 of the ride up to the trimmed hill, with the exception of the giant camelback. But the moment you get low to the ground again after that, you're feeling the positive G's. You'll be graying out most of the time, probably, if you're like me. So that amplifies this, I guess, series of elements that I'm practically taking them blind from the gray out. But yeah, you feel the positive G's just crushing you. I think this is the best moment of positive G's on any coaster, just because it's, again, so sustained, even better than that first turn. And the positive G's are not it. On 2 of the 3 snaps, at least, the first one and the third one, you get probably the most violent pop of ejector lateral airtime like ever. You're absolutely thrown across that seat, both vertically and horizontally. And again, combine that with the intensity and the sense of speed, like, you have the greatest element of all time. Like, that is one thing I'll say, like, I'll be downright shocked if any element is better than this. And another thing about that entire, like, first 2/3 of the ride, you have the greatest sense of speed on any coaster, even better than Fury. I mean, you're just going so fast, so low to the ground. Like, that wind's rushing in your face. Like, again, combined with all the stuff that I mentioned before, like, it's a masterpiece. And you're not even done. You have the first floater hill and the second floater hill to come. The first one having a trim on it, that's why it only gives floater. But people act like this thing has absolutely nothing. No, it still has some good floater airtime. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's still fun. And then you're going to go through an insanely aggressive snap. And it kind of feels like one of the snaps from the triple snaps, if it didn't have the positive G's or sense of speed going into it. But the lateral ejector airtime is just as good, just as crazy. And then you're going to pop up into the brakes, which doesn't really give airtime, just the crazy laterals from the last element. So yeah, that second, like, the last third kind of, I guess, isn't as good as the first 2/3, but it's still really good. Like, people say, like, oh, it completely dies in that last third, that's why I don't like it. Like, no, shut up. It's still really good. It still brings it. It doesn't have the sense of speed or positives like before, but the elements themselves definitely stand out, especially those last 2. I'm personally a back row rider on this. This is the only Giga I like the back row the best on. And I think that's because the other 4 Gigas that I've been on don't really have the best actual elements. They're mainly about the sense of speed. This actually has not only amazing elements, possibly the best collection of elements on any coaster. Actually, Steel Vengeance has probably a better collection of elements, but it doesn't have the sense of speed or positives that this thing has. And I think that's what did it for me, rating this over Steel Vengeance, is this thing has airtime still. Steel Vengeance has no positive G's or sense of speed. Now, I-305 doesn't have inversions, but personally, I'd take weaker airtime with definitely the best sense of speed on any coaster, and by far the best positive G's on any coaster, over by far the best airtime on any coaster, and some pretty good inversions, but not the greatest collection in the world. But either way, they're both the best at something. I mean, I still think Steel Vengeance is by far the king of airtime. Although Phoenix, during my rewrite, actually kind of threatened Steel Vengeance for a minute with that title. And I305 has the title of the best sense of speed and positive G's on any coaster. But I just think everything on I305 makes it better than Steel Vengeance. And overall, my number one. So what am I going to give it? Maybe a 4, 5, 6 if I'm generous. Yeah, no, obviously a 10. I'd give it as high of a score as possible and more. It's the greatest coaster of all time for now, for me at least. Again, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to just say this is easily the greatest coaster of all time. Nothing will ever beat it. There's coasters out there that have the potential. Ride to Happiness, Ejector, Voyage even, I guess. But will they beat I305? Probably not. But again, I can't make the same mistake again and devote my whole channel to saying I305's by far the best thing of all time. Because I don't know that for sure. I mean, Ride to Happiness could show up, Ejector again, like I said. Who knows, maybe even Velocicoaster, though I highly doubt that. Because it looks pretty overrated in my opinion. But anyways. Yeah, basically, I'm going to say it's the greatest coaster of all time until proven wrong, which this time I'm definitely not going to rule out of the question of being proven wrong, but it's more unlikely than likely, I feel like. So that's going to do it for my review on Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion, my new number one. Let me know if you guys feel the same way about this in the comments below as I do, or you like Evan from Airtime Cinema and kind of don't like this thing. No offense to you, Evan, but rides like El Toro and Superman the Ride definitely aren't even close to this. But yeah, let me know what side you guys are on. Hopefully my side, but that's okay if you're not. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.